Hi guys, welcome back. And today's new function on the date part is days 360. So it is written as days 360. Now, uh, you'll say what is the difference between the previous function that we did, which was related to days and days 60. So days 360 function will calculate specific number of days between start date and end days. It exactly works in the same way as we had for days. Now, the only difference, the main difference that you have between days function and the days 360 function is the days relies on 365 days of the year. So when I'm talking about days, it considers the year as to be 365 days. Yeah. So the days function will consider the year as 365 days, whereas days 360 considers the year as 360. So it considers 30 days for each month, irrespective of whether it is a January month or February month. It considers every month as 30 days. Okay. So let's first understand what is the syntax. So the syntax is days 360, open brackets. Then you need to give the start date, yeah, and then the end date. And there is another optional parameter, that is method. Okay. So as we know, start date is the specific valid date, yeah, from where we need to start counting the day. So it will have a valid date or a serial number. End date will have the latest date, which will be again in the date format or serial number format. But you need to see to it that it's the start date comes after the end date. Okay. So this function will return a non-positive number. So if I have the start date greater than end date, then it will give you a negative number. Whereas if I put the start date lower than the end date, it will give you a positive number. Yeah. So it will give you on the both sides of the dates. Lastly, the method, which is optional. It is a logical value that informs whether to utilize US method of date or European method. Yeah. So if I put false in the method, it specifies as US method. Or if I omit it, by default, it considers it as false. Hence, it takes by default as US method. But if I put the method as true, then it will consider it to be a European method. Yeah. So if the false value is specified, yeah, method in the method, and either start date or end date contains the last day of the month, then the month's 30th day would be considered. Okay. If the false value specified in the method argument, the start date is before the month 30th day and the end date is the last day of the specific month, then the end date value will be the first date of the following month. Yeah. Lastly, if it is true, if the method is true, then the method argument and either the start date or the end date contains the last day of the month, then month's 38 days would be considered. Yeah. So let's see some of the examples. So we'll try to utilize the previous ones only. So we try to have the today's date by the by deducting the or having the difference between today's date and the date which is available in the A4 cell. So I say is equal to days 360. Yeah, I'll say today, which is the latest date, and I have taken an older date, which is of April. Yeah. So let's see if it gives a positive or negative number. It gives me a negative number because the start date is greater than the end date. Yeah. Because A4, if you see in the A4, it is 10th of April, whereas today is 13th of May. So 13th of May is greater. That's why it is giving me a negative number over here. So 33 negative, that means previous 33 days. Now, if I have to make it positive, then I have to put it A4 here as the start date. Yeah, and end date as today, then it gives me a positive number. So you need to be careful while you are putting up dates. You need to see to it that your end date is always greater than the start date. Pretty clear by the start date and end date itself, but still I wanted to make it more clear. Now let's try for another format. So let's do it for another format. You can see here. Let's see for another format how it looks like. Yeah. So what I've done is, okay, I have calculated days 360. So which one is the greater one? Greater one is 990. So I should have the start date of 79 and the end date of 990. So it gives me a number. Now you will see the number that is been given by days function is 4079, whereas days 360 is giving me 4020. This is totally because of the consideration that you have for the year. Yeah. So it considers the year as 365 days, whereas days 360 considers the days as 360 days. Yeah. So let's try for this one, which is in the form of text. Let's try for a serial number, whether I'm able to get the serial number also been calculated. Again, here you will see 2289, whereas we have here 2258, just because there is a difference between days and days 360. I'm repeating this again because you need to be very clear when you are using a days function, or a days 360 function, because that's when the major difference occurs. I have seen debates happening on wrong calculation of per day productivity based on these functions being used. Yeah. So it has to be pre-clarified that using days 360, you will be considering only 360 days of the year. Yeah. Let's see if it is able to find out value for the text. You can see now, if same way as we had for days, if the specified start date or end date argument, yeah, is a text string which is not recognized as a date, then days 360 function will retrieve a value error since it is a text. Yeah. The method argument, even if the method argument contains a non-numeric value. Yeah. So if this is not a non-numeric value, so I put an alphabet here. So still it will give me a value error. Yeah. So it has to be a numeric value in order to, and that too between the serial dates that we have. Okay. So you need to be careful when you are trying to add numeric and non-numeric values in the arguments. Yeah. Same way, since it's a text, let's see if it takes for the negative value. No, it gives me a num error. So I cannot have negative serial numbers as well while I'm trying to calculate days between two dates. So a date cannot be a negative number. Yeah. Again, we are trying to find out a text value. Let's see if it able to get a date. Let me have it 360. So I am having the serial number which is out of the range, yeah, of the starting date of the year which days considered, that is 1st Jan 1900, yeah, and 31st December 9999, yeah. So it gives me a num error because the serial number that I've used is far beyond the serial number it is supposed to have for as compared to the dates. Yeah. So 1st Jan 1900 will have the value as 1, whereas 31st December 9999 will have a certain value which cannot exceed. So the serial number cannot exceed that. So if I say 31 December 9999, okay, so I need to put it as 1231, yeah, which is considered as a date. And if I turn it to a number, you can see this is the number which I cannot exceed, which is 29,58,000. Whereas here I specified around 1 crore. Yeah, so I cannot exceed this value. If I exceed this value, then there would be a num error. Okay. So this is how you calculate days using the days and the days360 function. Yeah. Now let me have a serial number. So I have these two serial numbers as 42370 and 42401. So let me show you the date as well. If I convert them to date, make it short date. So it is this 2 months. So it is one is January, another is February. So ideally it should give me the difference should give me. So let me have the days, so end date and the start date. So it gives me 31 days. Whereas if I have days 360, yeah, and I have to specify the start date. So here in days 360, you need to see to it that the start date is the lower date is given first, whereas in days, the end date is given first. So let's see what it gives. It gives me 30. So this is what I wanted to show you. Since it is considered 365 days, it takes the actual month day, whereas in days 360, it is taking the date as 30. Now, what happens if I put the value as true? Yeah, so let's put the method for this particular date, the days 360 as true. So I'll say comma, true. It gives me 30 days. Yeah, so let's see if I keep it as false. It still gives me 30 days. But if I try to change the serial numbers, let me get it to number first. Let me make it a serial number. Let me have a serial number in the sense like 42095. Okay, what is this date? Let me make it a short date. So it's April. Let me make everyone as short date. Okay. Now, let's see if using the true and false for the same functions again. Yeah. So I change this first one. I make it to days 360. This comma, the end date. Yeah, so it gives me 270. Okay, I have made a mistake. I need to is equal to days 360. Yeah. So this comma end date as this. So it gives me 300. Yeah. So why? Because there is a difference. Let me show you the dates. It's 2016. Yeah. And this is 2015. Yeah. So it is giving me a 1 year difference of 300 days. Yeah. Since it is by default false. So if I put as false, it will give me false. Yeah. But if I try to make it true, let's see what is the answer that we get. False gives us 300 days, whereas true also is giving us 300 days. But it by default, it is giving me, okay, here let me show you. So it will give me 31, it should give me 31 days. Okay, it is days 360, that's why it is not giving you 31 days, but it should give you 30 days. Yeah. So you need to see to it that adding false here indicates the US method to evaluate the number of days. Yeah. But using the true value, it means European method is being used. So after pressing the enter tab, the resulting value is 30. Can see here. Yeah. We have seen the date as well here for the serial number. So there is an 1 month difference, but still it is giving me 30 days. Whereas in days, it is giving me 31 days because it is considering 365 days. Yeah. So there is not much of a difference between what you get for true and false, but that is just for your information to understand that what it is considering as a method of days. So whether it is considering European method or US method. That's it. Usually I haven't used it in practical purpose. The major thing that I used is days 360. But while actually calculating the productivity, I prefer using days over days 360 because that gives me the actual days which are there available in the year. Yeah. Hope I was able to make the concept clear about days 360 vis-a-vis days. We'll see one more date difference function or two more date difference function in our subsequent videos. So stay tuned and wait for my next video. Hope you like this video. Do share, like it, share it across with your colleagues who want to learn Excel. Comment if you want me to cover any of the topics in this 365 days of Excel journey. And yes, do not forget to subscribe to my channel because that's how you're going to get all these videos or the notification on the videos directly to your inbox. And that will also keep me motivated to create such free content for you all people and increase your knowledge. Thank you so much.